All right, good evening, members. You're very welcome. You're very welcome to today's session, and I do hope you had a wonderful week. In today's session, we are going to learn a great deal, but I do hope that whatever you pick from here is something that you're going to implement. So members, once again, this is one of our weekly financial literacy trainings where we share different topics. Today, understanding that we are just heading into festive season, we thought we'd discuss and prepare our members how they can manage their personal finances during the festive season. The festive season is one of those tough periods where the propensity to spend is very high compared to the propensity to save and invest. Many of us, we take spending decisions, which we later come to regret when the new year starts. So as a person, you need to be asking yourself, these habits that I'm taking on, these habits that I'm going to carry forward, how do they get to affect me beyond the festive season? So that's what we shall be discussing. And for today's session, it is me, Darius, your usual host, that will be presenting to you. So for those who might be new to the session, my name is Darius Nkwasiwe. I'm a financial literacy trainer, very enthusiastic about personal finance and financial literacy, and seeing more people improve how they manage their personal finances so that they can move faster towards achieving financial independence. So I'm the team lead, building capacity for generations, as well as Next Life Finance, where we build capacity for different individuals. And one of our focus areas is financial literacy. So if it's your first time attending, you can view some of our previous sessions on YouTube. You can check out the YouTube channel, which is Personal Darius. Subscribe so that you can be able to see the sessions that we've had before and listen to them and pick something. So you'll find sessions around managing investment clubs, sessions around creating multiple income streams, sessions about investing and investing in shares, investing in unit trusts, investing in treasury bills, the other financial instruments. We've talked about how to avoid being part of Ponzi schemes and more. So you can check out the YouTube channel, like I've said, that is Personal Finance with Darius. Subscribe, watch some of the previous sessions so that we can be at the same pace. Probably if you can utilize the festive season to watch some of those videos, you'll be better prepared in the future, and you will be able to get at the same pace with us. So today's topic is quite interesting, like I already mentioned, because there is a lot that happens during the festive season. Many of us, that is the time that we get to merry-make. Many of us, that's the time that we get to enjoy the fruits of our year. That word is in quotes. Many of us, that's the time we get to spend big. Many of us, that's when we think of traveling up country. We think of going out for holidays. So, dear friends, it's time to reflect. Are you ready for such a season? Many of us, the time we remember to gift our friends. Many of us, it's time we plan to spend on that thing that we've always wanted to spend on ourselves, but we've always ignored. So in today's session, we are going to be talking and asking ourselves questions. Are you ready for that kind of spending? Are you ready in terms of your personal finances? Can you handle the situation? Can you handle the pressure? And after the festive season, how prepared are you to move ahead with your financial goals based on the habits that you would have adopted during the festive season. So it is very important that you as a person think and reflect. So I'm going to share my tips that I would advise you to take on. And these tips, I've packaged them in 9 tips. They could cut across, they could be more than, but for the sake of time that we have, I'll just give 9. And then next week, I'm going to share a detailed article that you can always read and prepare yourself and your personal finances for the festive season. So some of the things that we can ask ourselves for this spending for this festive season. One, we realize that our expenses usually become high, or sometimes they even more than double during the festive season. And that is because of different habits that I just talked about. So it is therefore important for us to be prepared. And remember, the festive season does not run away from emergencies. They do happen quite a lot. So if they did happen, would you be prepared for them? But also it is important that to remember that when all this is over, the festive season, however much whatever kinds of habits that we choose to pick up during this period, we have to be prepared and know that life will go on after the festive season. Probably if you are in Uganda, you know that after the festive season, kids are going back to school, so you're going to be prepared for it. Your landlord will want their rent if you're still renting. Probably if you're a university student, you're going to go back to campus, and still your lifestyle will need to go on. Are you ready for it? And we must always remember at all times that our journey to financial freedom must always go on. We must not relent our goals just because of a season. We must make sure that we keep on track. So having known that, and having known that life goes on after the festive season, here are some tips that I would encourage you to utilize to ensure that you manage the festive season. Of course, for some of these tips, you're going to realize that maybe you should have. So one of those things is if you have something that you're looking forward to spending on towards the festive season, please start saving for it. Right now, you can start putting money aside. If you had started, or if you started way back in January, kudos for you. If you started way back in March, fantastic. If you started way back in June, well and good. If you have not yet started, it's still important that you start now. Other than you waiting for that time and then you start borrowing money, you start increasing your credit, you start going to friends, you start calling your friends fake just because you want to live a happier life that is way above your daily spending. So ask yourself, do I have money for this? And if I don't have it, how can I start saving? And how much can I start saving for this time that is remaining? If you do that, you realize that it is going to reduce the pressure that comes with the festive season. And like I said, the person who started earlier, the better for them. But if you didn't start, the few days that we have that are remaining, they can make a difference for you. Depending on how you earn, depending on the circumstances that you're in, it is important that if you did not start yesterday, start today. The other thing is you're going to have to be realistic about your budget. Now, for many of us, we tend to see that different people come in the festive season, they increase their spending. Maybe you have a big brother who always gives you expensive gifts. Maybe you have a big brother who always comes and splashes money on the family. And then we also say that I want to be like him. I want to enjoy the festive season and be like him. But does your budget allow? Maybe your big brother has been working for some good time. Maybe they have been spending, and therefore they have been saving, and therefore they can be able to stretch their budget. How realistic are your spending plans versus your budget? So it's time to think and reflect. If you're that person who has moved the entire year without minding about your your spending habits without minding about your budget, without following it. It's this time of the year when you should move away from the normal spending by impulse, spending to impress, spending to just enjoy the season and forget the time that is coming ahead of the season. So it's time to relook at your budget. Is it overstretched? Is it too much? So that you can make sure that it's within your limits. Then it's during the festive season, I know that many of us, that's the time that we remember to make gadgets for our family as presents, also gadgets for our own house. We want to, I don't want Christmas to find me with an old TV. I don't want Christmas to find me with an old fridge. I want Christmas to find me with a new music system. But you really need to upgrade. Isn't your fridge working despite it being old as you may want to view it? How about your TV? It need to be upgraded. So if you think about that, it is going to be very helpful to ensure that you manage your spending within the festive season. Ask yourself, whatever I'm going to spend on, is it a need or is it a want? That will always that should always be your guide. So you can choose to say that I'm going to upgrade all the appliances in my house, like most people do during such a time, but you really need it, or that money could have been saved and use it as school fees when the new year starts. So ask yourself, sure that you only upgrade the things that you need to upgrade on. The other things, during the season, many of us, we tend to travel to the village. Many of us travel for holidays. Many of us travel up country, go for some leisure within the national parks, go to treat ourselves within, anyway, for a good reason, that we've spent the whole year working hard. So we want to spend time with our families. We want to be up country. We want to be away from the stress of the city. But how are you planning that travel? Now, for many of us, we wait until it is the 24th so that we can think of traveling. And we all know what happens during that time, especially if you're going to use public transport. So maybe could you plan to travel a little bit earlier so that you can be able to save on those costs? Because you could find that for some distances or for some places, the transport fare is more than double. So you as a person, ask yourself, could I travel a bit earlier? Alternatively, if your person is going to be traveling by your own means and maybe you have your own car, instead of traveling just you alone, could you pull with a few friends that take the same distance with you so that you can travel the distance together? Actually, when you do that, it's going to be more fun. You're going to enjoy the journey, but you're actually going to share costs. As a result, you're going to come out of the festive season without feeling the pinch, without feeling the pressure that you should have actually overspent in your travel up. Because mind you, the fuel that your car will need when you're one person traveling from here to Mbarara, to Kabale, to Mbale, to Gulu, it's the same fuel that you will need whether you're 5 people in that car or 4 people in that car. So you have maybe another friend who is going to travel by public means, and they are going to pay more than double what they have been used to paying. Alternatively, you and your family have more than 3 cars. Maybe your wife drives, maybe your elder child drives, and another person, but you're all within the same family. Instead of each and every one of you saying that they're going to take their own cars, could you try to maybe leave some cars at home and then utilize one? And of course, like I already alluded to, when you do that, it's going to help you increase your bonding. But in the process of doing that, you're going to find that you are saving on your expenses for the festive season. I'll keep emphasizing this. Remember, the festive season is not just the period that we have to live. Life is going to continue. after it immediately. Also, the festive season, especially some of us who may not be able to travel to the village, we are going to have that festive season, and it's when we want to make, it's when we want to eat, it's when we want to make sure that we've really maxed out the joy that comes with the festive season. But instead of saying that you spend outside in a luxury hotel, could you spend some time with your family? Say that we are going to prepare our meal together, so that in the process of doing it, you are going to enjoy yourselves. Then it's of course it's going to be a little bit cheaper when you do that. It's going to increase your bonding. I'm emphasizing that point. Going to find that you are going to you're going to save on several things, because when you go to the restaurants, they may tell you, the season prices have been hiked, therefore even our budget has also been increased. Some of them will give you discounts, say, and you feel like, wow, there's this discount and I can't afford to miss out. Yet actually, if you chose to make this meal at home, you find that it will even be more delicious and you will enjoy. Of course, I'm not asking you to be stingy on yourself, but just make sure that you're utilizing the opportunity to bond more with your family, to ensure that you're having a wonderful and time. The other thing that you want to look out for this festive season, share the costs that comes with the festive season. I like Indians. If you've been able to interact with Indians, I also see this between the Eritreans around Kampala. If you stay around Kampala or within the cities where Eritreans are, when they have moments that they need to celebrate, there is a way they tend to come together. They live together for a certain moment, and they share these costs. So even you, maybe you stay in an apartment and you need to decorate. So instead of you going and buying your own items, your neighbors going and buying other items, so that each person comes and decorates by themselves. Could you share these costs? Also, many people are going to be shopping. They're shopping different items, whether it is food stuff, whether they are gifts, whether it is transport. Could you choose to go together, shop together, so that you can be able to make that saving? Remember, when you do this, probably you're going to get discounts. Discounts may be available, but maybe they are going to be available to you if you make your purchases in huge amounts, or in huge like in huge purchases. So could you find out from your friends, those who are willing to share some cost with you, so that you buy an item together and then you can go back and share? Remember, the festive season is a season of love. It's a season of merrymaking. And what a joy to do it with your family, to do it with your friends, and make sure that you're having a great time together. And in the process of doing that, you're sharing your cost, which means that by the time the festive season ends, you're actually not going to feel the pinch. And you're not going to feel the pinch because you've taken some time to say that I will share this with my friends and family. So what is that item that you're going to buy, or you've planned for the first that you could have shared with someone else? Is it food? Is it decoration items? Are they clothes? Is it transport? It's up to you. The list is endless. But the most important thing is to make sure that you utilize the opportunities available, not to overspend. The other thing is that make sure that you start your shop early. Of course, similar to transport, when the festive season reaches, and typically when you go around Kampala or the cities that we have around that in the different regions, during this season, because they know that many people are shopping and many people are planning to travel out of the cities, the prices tend to be hiked. And when the prices are hiked, it means that you're going to spend a little bit more. So you as a person, could you do your shopping early. Make your shopping list and say, this is what I will do during festive season. And therefore, if I will need this, if I go and get it when it is still early, I'm going to be able to get some bit of discount. And it is this discount that I can utilize to have some savings for me. Yet, I'm not missing out on the merrymaking and enjoying the season for myself and my family. Also, one thing I've realized, and many of us tend to ignore this, we think that we are waiting for the festive season because we are going to have discounts. But usually what happens when this time reaches, the shops, the bars, the arcades, what they tend to do is they will tell you that they are giving you discounts. But if you look at the prices that were there earlier, you find that actually you don't have a discount. So if you utilize this time, I know some companies or some shopping centers, they still have their Black Friday campaigns running. So could you utilize that and make sure that you utilize those there, have that item purchased so that by the time the festive season reaches, you are going to be ready for it and you'll be able to enjoy the season, but without spending an extra dime just because it is the festive season. So ask yourself, what will I need? What is on my budget? And what can I purchase when it is still very early? The other thing that characterizes the festive season is gifting. So because we want to celebrate the season, because we want to make sure that our people feel loved, because we want to make sure that we are going to create memories that are going to last for long out of this season, we want to look out for gifts that are going to speak to people so that these gifts will always be something that the person utilizes to remember us. And in the process, we buy very expensive gifts. Sometimes the gifts that we buy are actually not needed by this person. They would have actually moved their life without them. But could you ask yourself, what is that one thing that is going to speak to this person so that even beyond the festive season, they will always say that, wow, Darius or Pius or Juliet thought about me during the festive season. One way of doing that is getting personalized gifts. So have something that speaks to this person. Maybe is it having their name on? Is it having their picture on? Usually, we like things that speak to us. So if you share a gift, however small it may be, but when I realize that you put a lot of thought towards this gift, when I realize that you actually put in effort to think about me and what speaks to me during this festive season, you are going to be impressed. You, myself as a person, I'm going to say that, wow, this is something that I'll always remember. And you can check the different gifts that you've always received over time. You'll find that the gifts that speak to you are typically those gifts that come with a personalized element to you. So I'd like to ask you, what ideas do you have about gifts that are going to be personalized, and then your people or the people that are going to be receiving them from you will say that indeed a thought went into this gift. It may not be expensive, but I realize that this is going to work for me. Okay. The other thing is that during the festive season, many of us think about spending on our people, spending on gifts, and making huge expenditures on whatever we want to do. But in relation to the gifts about, could you maybe utilize the gift of your time to give it to your people? Probably you've been in Kampala working for the entire year and you've not gone to the village to see your old parents. Could you utilize this time and go and speak to them and be with them? You know that they will appreciate that gift. How about your family? You've always been away on trips, work engagements, and you never have time for them. Isn't it a time for you to engage with them? They may actually like that because you're going to bond, whether it is with your spouse, whether it is with your children. You're going to find yourself that you're bonding more and they are enjoying time with you. They are enjoying their time with you. So ask yourself, what is that one thing that that I may be missing out because I want to overspend, but actually it's not what my people need. So that is a question for you. And there are different things. So like I said, you could choose to go to the village so that you speak to your old parents and have time with them. It could be your children, it could be your spouse, it could be whoever you're dealing with. So it's time to ask yourself, how best can I utilize my time so that people will feel that indeed my person cares about me, and therefore it is high time that I give them this time so that they do what? So that they can feel my presence. The other thing that you want to think about, spend your time volunteering. Many of us, when we volunteer, we have that sense of fulfillment. We say that, yes, because I've given my time to this charity, because I've been with these vulnerable people, I can say that I've had a great time this festive season. So how are you going to utilize your time as a gift during this festive season so that it can help you to reduce the stress and pressure that always comes with the festive season? Okay? Ask yourself. That's a question for you to think about just before we move into the question and answer session. But then the other thing that I would like to encourage you to think about during this festive season is have a spending limit. And this is a bonus point. Have a spending limit. Say that I want to enjoy myself this festive season, but I want to make sure that as I do that, I'm going to spend not beyond this limit. I just saw a meme before we came to this session. Someone said that it's Jesus' birthday, not your own birthday. So don't make sure that you're overspending beyond your capacity just because you want to maximize the festive season, because you want to make other people happy during the festive season. Please ask yourself, if I'm going to spend over this limit, is it worthwhile? Okay. So the other thing that you could do during this festive season, could you utilize it to make some earning for yourself? So because during the festive season, many people are looking out for different things. You could try to do an idea around gifting. Make sure that as people are planning their gifts, you're going to make some money off that. Remember, the season is not just about spending. It's not just about giving out all your money. It's not all about merrymaking, but how best you utilize it. So could you utilize it creatively so that you're able to make some money out of the festive season? I'll leave that up to you to think about. But the most important thing that I want to emphasize is that we've come a long way this year. We've had lots of personal finance sessions. We've brought on board people who have talked about our habits, people who have talked about our spending habits, people have talked about our saving habits, people have talked about our investment habits. People have talked about managing our expenses through budgeting. So it's a time for us to put these ideas into practice. It's a time for us to make them proud by implementing whatever we've learned on this session or on these sessions. It's a time for us to show the maturity that we've gained over time by becoming better with our personal finances, our ability to manage our emotions when we are dealing with our personal finances. I know one of the emotions that is going to come out during this period is the emotion of joy, emotion of excitement, and we will therefore be tempted to go overboard with our personal finances. But can we show that we've learned something during the course of this year? So friends, I could talk and talk, and there are many ideas, but like I said earlier, during the next few weeks, I'm just going to make sure that beyond the personal finance sessions that we have, I'll write some bit of articles that can give you more tips, and of course I'll be sharing them on our WhatsApp groups so that you can ensure that spending is going to be managed well during this festive season. So ask yourself, of these tips that I've offered you, which tip are you going to apply? Which ones are you going to utilize so that the festive season doesn't bring pressure on you? Which tip are you going to utilize so that when the month of January starts, you're not going to be one of those who are going to be crying that January is the longest month of the year? Because, I mean, it also has 31 days. But because many of us do not plan and manage our personal finances well during the festive season, the pressure becomes much. Remember, in December, typically many of our employers are going to pay us on time. They're going to make sure that we receive our salaries around 20th, around 18th, around 21st. So therefore, we are going to have a longer period without us receiving our salaries coming through. That is if we are salaried people. And also on the other side, if you're people who are in business, remember, there is that time typically after the 25th towards the first day where business is very slow because people have moved to villages and upcountry homes. Therefore, business is going to be less. But you also want to take a break because you've definitely spent a lot of time working and getting tired. So you want to give yourself some rest. So you're going to have a lot of period without earning. So are you prepared for it? How are you going to handle it? So thank you very much. Those are some of the tips that I had to offer us for today's session. So I'm going to allow those with questions to be able to pass them on so that we can, so that I can be able to respond to them in the few minutes that we have remaining. All right. Thank you very much. Yes, William is talking about the 80-day long January. Yes, January seems to be a long month because usually by the time it gets to the 5th of January, we've already maxed out the savings that we had and we've spent them, and therefore we start struggling. So ask yourself, am I ready for this 80-day January? All right. So members, if you have questions, please pass them on so that we can be able to have them responded to, and you'll be ready to manage your finances well during the festive season. All right, you could utilize the chat room, you could raise your hand, and I'll be able to pick you up and you'll be able to ask your question. All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much. We have we have different people that are sharing their comments. So Olivia is giving us a reminder that schools are opening up in January, so you better be prepared for that time. Olivia also says, let's spend wisely. The Christmas school fees is waiting for you. Judith is appreciating. So William says, the festive season is always challenging and many are taken up. One could pay the school fees earlier. All right, Juliet says, how should people who have no money manage the holiday season? Wonderful, that is a very fantastic question. And indeed, as we go into the festive season, you can feel some bit of pressure if you don't have money on you, or if you've not planned well. So if you don't have money on you, the pressure to spend is there, the pressure to enjoy is there, the pressure to merry-make is there. So as I was coming to the end of my tips and sessions that I shared, I did talk about being able to making some money. So ask yourself, yes, you don't have money, but during this festive season, people have all these different habits that they are going to be coming out in terms of their spending. How could you utilize this period to be able to make some money out of these habits? Maybe it's gifting. Could you start something around gifting? Then maybe it is, so people are going to be celebrating cakes, what? Could you enjoy that? Could you do deliveries? So it's about you. Think about your environment. Think about the people that you interact with. Think about your neighborhood and ask yourself, how can I make some extra money out of this period? Remember, the issue about managing money is that there will always be an element of you can save or you can spend money up to a certain limit. So you must find ways of making more money for yourself. So ask yourself, how can I make more money so that I can be able to enjoy the festive season without doing what? Without feeling stressed or without feeling anxious. Thank you very much. So I'm going to be responding to some of the questions that are already in the chat room, but I would like to encourage you that you can please raise your hand and share with us some of your experiences, how you've always managed your finances during the festive season. What are some of the tips that you could give us? I see different people on the call, people like William. I'll be giving you an opportunity to share some of those tips with us. So Caroline is asking, these are great insights. So how do we handle our families where children expect fine dining and whining? So this goes to, so even you as a family, what expectations have you set? How do you always make sure that, so what do your kids expect during the festive season? One of the first points that I did share was, one, make sure that you manage your expectations and make sure that you're realistic about your budget. But if as a family, you've created a culture where at this time you dine well, you wine well, and you have some extra bit of pleasure with yourselves, have you been saving for it? If you've been saving for it, that is wonderful. So that means you have an extra budget that you can utilize to go overboard for yourselves and say that we'll have more wine, we'll dine more than we've been doing because we've planned for it and we've saved for it. Alternatively, you can start now. And that is going to depend on how you earn. So you can start now and say that, so we are going to reduce our spending in this area so that we can have enough money for the festive season. Or you're going to say that if we've been if previously we've done these things that take out a lot of money, we could reduce them. If maybe we said that every festive season we must change the furniture in our room, we must change whatever is in our kitchen. Could you transfer that budget to the wining and dining that you would like to do? That is how you could find yourself managing. So one, you meet the expectations of your family, but also have these discussions. If you don't have money and you've not planned and you do not see ways where to cut so that you can be able to enjoy this wining and dining, have a discussion with them and say that, well, while we've always wined, while we've always had fine dining during this festive season, the times I had now, maybe I lost my job during the COVID-19 period. My income has not been doing well because my business was affected. Therefore, instead of going out, we'll buy the items ourselves, have our meal at home, and enjoy it from there. Or maybe you'll tell them that we'll not have this, maybe, but during the month of January, maybe I'll have made some more money and I can be able to do what? I can be able to give you the treat, the kind of treat that you want to have. So it's around managing expectations of your family and also you being sure of what your finances are so that you can be able to manage them well. We have Saba Marion saying some people first work and plan to travel. It's around 24th. What advice can you give to the category of to that category in terms of saving and maximizing expenditure? I think one thing that I've realized, if you're traveling, if you're going to be traveling towards the festive season, some companies, what they do, they can give you an option that when it is reaching the festive season, you can keep your leave days and take them and go on your break a little bit earlier before before the transport is very much hiked. So you could do that. So keep them early, so that when it is around 20th, you can take your leave days and then you're able to travel early. The other option that I've seen in real Uganda is that usually the prices are very high on around the period beginning 20th to 24th. But once it is 25th, the prices go down. 26th, the prices go down. Instead, the prices start to increase for people who are coming from the villages and coming to this side. So you could do that. You could say that maybe I'll go on the 26th when the period is has started to reduce in terms of transport fares, because honestly, moving on 24th is going to be extra expensive for you. You could also utilize that, especially if you didn't budget for this price hike. But if you plan for it and you really feel that you must be home when it is still very early or before Christmas is out, that's the time to you could spend that on yourself, because I mean, you would have planned for it. All right. So I would like to open the floor for people who have some bit of questions that they would like to give, so that we can hear stories from different people. So if you're on the call and you'd like to share some stories with us, how you manage your personal finances during the festive season, if you have some tips that I could have left out, please raise your hand. I'll ask you to unmute and then you're able to share some of these tips. Yes, Charlene, could kindly unmute and share with us your insight.
All right, thank you, Darius, for that wonderful presentation. It was quite very knowledgeable. So I want to add on what you said. Someone was talking about management of expectations for family members, and this comes from experience, like the fine dining and wining that you know that kids are used to. They know whenever it's time for Christmas, it's eating food, it's drinking. Usually what we have always done in my family, for example, as early as December 1st, it's advisable to start stocking certain foodstuffs. that don't get spoiled. Things like rice, you can stock up your rice. Then people like taking sodas, even if it's the wines. Literally, these things, at least a crate of soda, they'll add like a 1,000 or a 500. For someone who survives in the economy of Uganda, 500 is a lot, even 1,000 is a lot. So buying a crate of soda and keeping it in your house, or a bag of rice, and putting it aside before 20th, whereby these traders want to make money, they know you have to buy. It's very wise and very helpful. So the other thing about managing expectations of children, it always depends on maybe on your pockets or your wallet as a parent or as a guardian to these people. Still from experience, it was last Christmas when the economy was really down from the from the lockdowns we were having and stuff, So I'm an adult, so definitely sitting down with mom and we are planning, and she's telling me, you know what? We're not buying soda this Christmas. I don't know how these kids are going to perceive it, but buying 2 crates of soda for them, one for lunch, then another one for evening, then save some for Boxing Day and stuff. We shall just make juice, buy portions of around maybe 10 for the 2 days and stuff. So I remember that day, 24th, we sat down with our kids. I am not a health expert, but I recall talking to my siblings about disadvantages of soda and telling them the advantages of natural juice and stuff and everything. And everyone was excited and like, you know what? Actually, I remember my young sister raised it up like, why don't we just have juice this Christmas instead of soda? Since you're telling us that soda is harmful to our health, it may cause us some diseases when we grow up and stuff. So it becomes, okay, it's just all about culture, instilling cultures into these young children, because I want to believe they're the ones who always have the highest of expectations. Even if you're used to buying them clothes, or that's the culture I'd instilled in them, buying clothes every Christmas, and they won't put them on again. This time around, I think you're going to put on this dress you put on Easter again. Yes, she may feel bad, but follow with, exciting words. You looked beautiful in it, and you will still rock it one more time. You'll still rock your shoe. Just rock it one more time this Christmas, and next time we shall buy something new. Yeah. So another thing was for people who like going to the villages and stuff. We understand most of us who are working and our parents are up country, and we always want to visit them on Christmas. I do not know why. I don't know whether it's also in other parts of the world, but I do not know why Ugandans, we summarize that visiting parents is for Christmas. I mean, where I come from in Masaka, usually the price is 10,000 to go there, but then on Christmas it goes actually at around 25,000 or 30,000. That's only two and no return journey. And you realize you need to carry some stuff along with you. Why not adopt a culture of anytime within the year, during the course of the year, take a leave for 1 week, go be with your loved ones in the village, hang out with them. Then when it's Christmas time, the money you would have wasted on transport, just top it on what you want to give them or what the things you wanted to carry and send it. These days, MTN and Airtel have helped us. They've given us much of the mobile money options and send it to them. Then in January, when prices are low, or February or March, you go back, take your leave from work, spend 2 weeks or a week with them. They'll still have fun and they'll still feel that they have loved you, other than wasting transport going to the village and you only carry 1 kilogram of sugar or not carrying anything at all. Otherwise, thank you very much for the platform, Darius.
All right, thank you, Charlene. I see Peter's hand is up. Peter, I'm going to give you an opportunity to be able to unmute and speak to us, but I just have the comments. Peter said it is also not a must go to the village during the festive season. I think Charlene has alluded to that, and Caroline was saying, so what I'm picking here is that this Christmas will be unlike any other. Let's talk to our family members and manage expectations. So yes, wonderful. So Peter, if you can kindly unmute and be able to share your experiences.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you, Darius, for this presentation, and thank you for the initiative you have taken to teach us about personal finance. Now, I'm one of those people who don't like going to the villages during Christmas, because I've also observed people, they go to the villages carrying only 1 kg of sugar or maybe 2 kgs, but when they're coming back to Kampala, they come with sacks of Irish, sacks of beans. When you talk of personal finance, we are depriving our parents with their sources of finance. Instead of adding them more money during Christmas, we are going to harvest. Yeah? We leave them more poorer than we found them during Christmas. So even as we go to Christmas, let's mind also the state we leave our parents. Let us not just be going there to kind of harvest what you have not planted. Many people only go there to pick, and they have not even contributed to the farming and stuff like that. So as we work on our personal finances, also let's mind on people's finances as we go to the village. But also, who are those people who are going to the village? We need you in 2021. So take care of your health, be careful, don't drink and drive. We need you in 2021. Those are my contributions. 2022, sorry.
All right, thank you, Peter, for those tips. Indeed, let's utilize the season without putting pressure on the parents that we have at home or the people that are in the village. You go with 1 kilogram of sugar, but you want to come with the entire garden. Thank you very much, Peter, for that. And indeed, you share something very useful. Let's make sure that we guard our lives even as we are enjoying Christmas. So even as we talk about personal finances, our lives will be very important, and we will need them come 2022 to be able to make more money and move towards our financial goals. So thank you very much, Peter. I don't know if there's anyone else who has a comment or a question or an experience that they would like to share before we can call it an evening. I see our time is already fast spent. It is 6 p.m. But just in case you have any experience that you'd like to share, let's not leave it out. All right, thank you very much, members. Thank you for having been part of this session. I remind you, please, you can always find a recording of this session on YouTube. So please check out the YouTube channel, subscribe, like the videos there so that we can always move this journey together. I thank you very much for having been part of today's session. I look forward to hosting you next Sunday. Next Sunday, we'll be talking about managing employment income and ensuring that even as we start the new year, we are prepared to maximize and get the most out of it. All right, so thank you very much. Have a great evening and have a great week ahead of you.